The time has arrived for the party to obtain the first-class mage qualification in order to continue their journey. This will mark the beginning of the first long arc in the series, divided into 3 exciting exam stages. Get ready, as moving forward, we'll see more action and more of the world's lore unfold. Let's get started. It's been 29 years since the death of hero Himmel, and Frieren and her party are in the northern countries in the Kull region. When Stark saw the town of Oberst, the greatest town of magic in the northern countries, Frieren explained that they are still far away from there, so they'll need to catch a coach or something along the way. Fern asked if they would be able to travel to the northern plateau once Frieren acquires the qualification there to be a first-class mage. Frieren explained that she doesn't necessarily think that she needs to be the one to acquire it, since it'll just become obsolete soon enough. Could Fern earn it? Frieren asked, to which Fern replied, "Are you not aware? Only a handful of select skilled mages become first-class mages. It will not be possible for someone like me." Fern then said that Frieren seems not interested in that. Stark asked why they need such an incredible mage to accompany them when they head into the northern plateau. Frieren explained that it's because, since long ago, the northern plateau has been riddled with monsters that use deceptive magic like Isam, the phantom demon. She added that it's a perilous place that's impossible to pass without a priest and mage in the first place. Nonetheless, according to her, requiring a valuable skilled mage just to gain passage must mean there is a significant problem in the northern plateau. Before long, they found a coach to ride on. Frieren explained that once they arrive in Oberst, she will investigate the exam. Considering what Fern said, she believes there will also be combat involved, so they will need to think of an approach. Fern then asked with Frieren's mana, wouldn't it not be a walk in the park no matter what kind of exam it is? She added that even if she is limiting it, the mana of a skilled elderly mage remains visible, prompting Frieren to say, "Don't call me an elderly mage." Stark noticed that Frieren pouted after what Fern said and asked Fern if it isn't a bit mean calling her an elderly mage, to which Fern apologized. Frieren then explained that she hasn't forgotten that Stark once called her a bloody old hack, making Stark wonder when he said that. After that, Frieren decided to sleep and reminded them to wake her up once they arrive in Oberst. After she lay on Fern's lap, she noticed Fern's bright future blocking half of her face. She then decided not to sleep, prompting Stark to ask what's wrong, so she answered that she could only see half the sky, puzzling Stark. Frieren then explained to Fern that mana is not the only thing that determines a mage's strength. Techniques and experience, the spells you use as well as their handling, effort, and willpower, and lastly, talent. She further explained that throughout her life until this day, she has lost 11 times to mages with less mana than hers. 4 of them were demons, and Fern pointed out that Qual was one of them, if she's not wrong. One of them was an elf like Frieren, and the remaining 6 were humans. We then go to a girl in the northern countries in a remote area of Graf Granat's domain. The girl said that she thinks she will see the Graf's domain soon enough. "The way to Oberst is intense, isn't it?" the girl added. She then decided to take a little rest when some bandits showed up out of nowhere. These bandits wanted the girl to leave her valuables and disappear. The girl commented, "Huh, thieves? Again?" Even though things finally turned peaceful after Aura's defeat, we have more of these kinds of ruffians now, huh? When one of the bandits tried to intimidate the girl, Kraf suddenly arrived and punched the bandit in the stomach. "Get out of my sight immediately if you value your lives," said Kraf, to which the bandits immediately decided to leave. The girl thanked Kraf and introduced herself as a mage named Yubel, to which Kraf also introduced himself as a monk. Yubel was intrigued that Kraf is an elf, noting that it is her first time seeing one. Kraf then told her not to show a killer's gaze and explained that he wasn't there to save her. In a nearby forest, he found bodies of thieves who were chopped up into pieces. He deduced that it was the doing of a frightfully skilled mage, to which Yubel responded, "Aha. Did you come to preach or something?" she asked, to which Kraf replied that he isn't, and that he is an adventurer too. He is not stubborn enough to gild someone for killing out of self-defense, and he was just saving the lives of those before him. Yubel commented that he is such a shrewd middle-aged man, so it's boring. Kraf then asked if Yubel is headed for Oberst, to to which Yubel said yes and explained that she is going to take the first-class mage exam. Kraf then remembered that Frieren also said something like that, so he commented that he'll be looking forward to hearing about her travels the next time they meet. In the next scene, we go to the northern branch of the Continental Magic Association. The staff there explained to Frieren and Fern that the exams will be held 2 months from now, and the first-class mage exam only occurs once every 3 years. The staff added that to qualify for the exam, they must already qualify to be a 5th-class mage or better. Because of that, Frieren suddenly decided that Fern was the only one who will take the test, so Fern explained that she cannot do this alone, prompting Frieren to explain that, and she said that she can. Fern then asked Frieren what does she plan if she fails, and pointed out that the first-class exam is only held once every 3 years, to which Frieren answered that they'd have to hire a first-class mage or go to the northern plateau by sea. Fern argued but that would cost an incredible amount of money, and then Frieren would be out of her daily snacks again. Frieren then explained that even if she says that, she is unqualified. She then proceeded to bring out a holy wand emblem and asked, "This won't work, right?" To which Fern asked, "What is that antique?" A man then suddenly called out for Frieren and asked if he could look at the emblem she's holding. The man looked closely at it and gave a surprised look, asking if Frieren was planning to take the first-class exam. After that, they found out that Frieren could join and that the man knew about her holy wand emblem. "Is it some incredible object?" Fern asked, to which Frieren answered, "It should be." We then go back to a time where Himmel asked Frieren if she was in the Mages Guild. Frieren explained that she was not in it because the organizations governing magic change basically every other day, so she couldn't join each and every one of them. She added that besides, she has the holy wand emblem, which she also showed to Fern and Stark. "What is that rusty necklace? Do you know?" asked Himmel, to which Hyder answered, "Not at all." Frieren then wore the emblem and explained that it was the only proof she had that she was a mage. Himmel then explained that they certainly did not know about the necklace, but they did know that she was an incredible mage. "But it won't be long before you die, right?" Frieren argued, to which Himmel just smiled. We then go back to the present, and Frieren is still looking at her emblem. Fern called her and said the same words Himmel had said. We know that Frieren is an incredible mage, which made Frieren smile and pat her on the head. In the next scene, they went to a library where, while Frieren was reading, she explained that according to the Continental Magic Association's regulations, mages are generally considered to be adults once they are at least 5th class. When Frieren asked Fern why she acquired the 3rd class, Fern explained that the exam was scheduled the earliest. Frieren then explained that there are a total of 600 mages who are at least 5th class, and she guessed including the apprentices who vary from 6th to 9th class would make 2,000. She added that among them, 45 are 1st class. The 1st class exam is held once every 3 years at the northern branch in Oberst and the headquarters in the holy city of Strahl. She further explained that there have also been many years where none passed, and obviously, there have been casualties as well, which is a challenge in itself. When Frieren mentioned that it seemed there had been a significant change, it prompted Fern to ask if there were a lot more in the past. Frieren then said that a century ago when the Demon King army's offensive intensified, it was normal to pass by mages as they walked through any town. But now, they don't see any of them around except in magical towns like Oberst. After that, Frieren said that they should start their intense training to prepare for the exam in 2 months. And so, they started their training, and we see a montage of them doing that in their daily routines. In the next scene, 2 months have passed, and in a hall, the first exam proctor, Jano, who is also a 1st class mage, announces that they will now be commencing the 1st class mage selection exam. One man commented that this year seems to be rather outstanding. He then explained noteworthy people such as Wirbel, a 2nd class mage and captain of the Northern Magic Corps, who fought against the remnants of the Demon King army for many years. Fern, a 3rd class mage, was the youngest ever to pass with the highest grade in the 3rd class exam. Denken, a 2nd class mage with the craftiness of an old fox, ascended to the status of Imperial Mage after reigning supreme in a violent power struggle. The man added that there are troublemakers there too, such as Yubel, a third-class mage disqualified for killing a first-class mage who was the proctor of the second-class exam 2 years ago. When the man looked for other promising people, he saw Frieren, but he and his friend had no idea who she was. Jeannot then said that he would now announce the details of the first exam. He explained that it would be a battle done in teams. With 57 people in total, they would hold the exam in parties of 3. After that, he divided the examinees into their respective parties. Frieren saw a number on the bracelet that was given to them and realized that she was in the second party. It looked like by putting mana into it, they could track their comrades' rings so they could identify their party. While finding her party, she commented in her mind that this was interesting. It was going to be difficult to cooperate normally with an impromptu team of suspicious mages. She also knew that first impressions were important for situations like these, so she decided to be careful not to cause any trouble. Not long after, her bracelet reacted, and she saw 2 girls fighting each other, noticing that their bracelets had the same number. The 2 girls continued fighting, while Frieren looked on reluctantly, thinking that there was already a fight. Fern, on the other hand, appeared to be grouped with Yubel and a timid boy with glasses. "I hope we get along," said Yubel, to which Fern replied, "Yes, I hope we get along nicely." In the next scene, we're in the group basin, the area where the first stage of the examination will be held. The party of 3 examinees gather here with the proctor, and Gon then decided to explain the exact rules of the first stage examination. Small, meteoric iron birds, called still, inhabit the examination area. He had distributed a cage to each party. There are 2 conditions to pass the first stage examination. They must possess a cage with a still inside by sunset tomorrow, and at that time, all of their party members must be present. He added that they may do whatever they wish, but if someone leaves the examination area, all members of the party they belong to will be disqualified. One of the party members of Frieren commented that Jeannots want to talk after putting up a powerful barrier around the area that not even a single speck of dust could get through. Not long after, Jeannot announced that they will now begin the first stage examination. Each of the parties started their discussion, while Frieren's party is still fighting because of their clashing opinions on what to do. Frieren looked at them again with a reluctant look and suggested, "Why don't we introduce ourselves to each other as we walk?" After that, Frieren introduced herself to the 2 girls, who then did the same. They are Laufen and Can, both third-class mages and childhood friends who came from the same academy of magic. Frieren asked them if they have any knowledge of the still, to which they replied that they do not. Frieren then explained that she has knowledge of it, but she hasn't seen one in person, so she suggested that they should find a still first and observe it. And so, they tried to find one around the area. Failing to find one, Frieren and the girls decided to take a short break. When Laufen said that she would scout ahead, Can argued that it's safer to stick together, which made them argue again, prompting Frieren to give her a reluctant look. Frieren then asked if Laufen is powerful, to which Laufen responded that she's more powerful than Can, irritating Can. Frieren then asked, and compared to me, to which Laufen answered that she doesn't want to fight her. After that, Frieren asked Laufen to go look, and if there's any danger, she should come back and be wary of the sky, to which Laufen replied that she knows. Can and Frieren looked at each other, and Frieren suddenly sighed, thinking if their party will be okay. Can then commented that Frieren seems like a professor and said that Frieren would serve as a good leader. Frieren explained that she's only in charge because Can and Laufen are fighting. She doesn't necessarily want to be in charge. Can then apologized and explained that they've been like that since long ago. Can also asked what Frieren meant by "be wary of the sky," to which Frieren replied that it's exactly as it sounds. While talking about Can's mana sensing abilities, Laufen came back and informed them that she had found a still. They went to the area Laufen pointed out and saw a still floating in a body of water. At first, Frieren instructed them to observe carefully, but Can suddenly used her magic and tried to catch the still. Can used the water to try to catch the bird, but it looked like it wouldn't catch up. Laufen then entered the scene and used her magic as well, turning the water tentacles Can controlled into ice, freezing the still in place with it. Well, aren't you two something?" Frieren commented. But after that, she quickly said that they should probably take cover now, puzzling the two girls. Suddenly, the still broke free from the ice and swiftly flew away. Frieren explained that the still is extremely robust and can fly faster than the speed of sound, so that sort of restraint is meaningless. She said that they will need to observe carefully in order to catch one, so they will spend the rest of today observing a still. While walking, Frieren thought that the feat Laufen and Chen did earlier is not something that could be achieved in a day, as it was a perfect timing as if they had already been synchronized. A high degree of coordination. She said that she was skeptical about what would come out of this, but maybe now she was wrong. But not long after, the two suddenly fought again, prompting her to give her reluctant look again. In the next scenes, we see a montage where Frieren and her party continue to find a still in different parts of the area. Later at night, while Laufen and Chen are sleeping, Chen woke up because she heard something and noticed that Frieren wasn't there either. While walking, she noticed the sound of rain falling on the barrier. Suddenly, a monster appeared and attacked her on the shoulder. Chen tried to use her staff, but the monster quickly attacked her again. Scared, Chen called out to Laufen while looking the monster in the eye. Fortunately, Frieren arrived and immediately stopped the monster. While walking back to their camp, Frieren asked Chen if she had settled down, to which Chen agreed. Frieren then pointed out that she heard Chen call out for Laufen, puzzling her and prompting her to say, "You hate Laufen, don't you?" Chen agreed, so Frieren asked further how they are so coordinated, as it's unusual. Chen then explained that she often has moments when she'd completely freeze up at crucial times since she is surprisingly cowardly. It happened during her first fight magic training as well. We then go back to a time where Chen and Laufen are on the edge of a cliff. Laufen was explaining here that the people who went on ahead are that far away now, and it's just water down there, so Chen is not going to die. If you don't have the courage for it, how about I kick you off to give you a boost? She asked Chen. "I kind of hate you, Laufen," says Chen, to which Laufen responds that she knows. Chen said that Laufen always says mean things to her and explained that she's the type of person who gets better with praise. Laufen then said, "That is what happens when you grow up spoiled by a gentle papa and mama. But if Chen can actually fly that way, I'll be as gentle as she'd like." "Well then, tell me my good points," says Chen, to which Laufen replied, Hey, you seriously want me to say it?" Chen just stayed quiet while looking at her. Not long after, Laufen started praising Chen, saying that she's actually quite a hard worker despite being a coward. Chen then asked Laufen to tell more, so Laufen explained that she puts in a ton of effort in secret, watches over her peers carefully, and can show care for them. When Chen asked for more, Laufen suddenly said that Chen is cute when she laughs, prompting Kana to react in a disgusted manner saying, now that's just wrong. After that, Laufen suddenly kicked Chen off the cliff, making the latter scream for her life. But because of that, Chen managed to learn to fly and didn't end up swimming in the sea. Laufen flew down and pointed out that Chen can fly after all, so she's not going to be kind to her anymore. After explaining their past to Frieren, Chen added that Laufen may be harsh, but she leads her properly. Thanks to her, she realized that things can surprisingly work out as long as you leave them to impulse, even if they may be frightening. In the next scene, we then go back to a time where the hero party is talking about their upcoming first battle with the dragon. Himmel noticed Eisen shaking, so he asked if he's scared, to which Eisen agreed. That puzzled Himmel, and he asked, "You're scared," to which Eisen agreed again. Himmel then said that he too is scared. Frieren then asked, "What is this conversation?" prompting Heider to laugh. Himmel explained that he was trying to encourage Eisen by acting as another adventurer, but it seems it didn't work out that well. Eisen then argued that he was wrong and that thanks to Himmel, he was no longer nervous. Heider then advised Himmel that he can just act naturally, and he's sure these sorts of things differ for each adventuring companion, to which Himmel said he was right. We then go back to the present where Frieren concluded that what Heider said was correct. After that, Chen shared an idea with Frieren about how to capture a still, to which Frieren said that they may be able to capture a still easily with that. Somewhere in the exam area, we then see Fern already caught a still. Fern notifies her party members about it, and says that they can now relax. "You're pretty carefree, aren't you?" says the boy with the glasses, with Yubel adding that it's going to get worse from here. The two explain that they need to protect the still so the other parties don't steal it, as it's time for the battle royale. In the next scene, we see Frieren and her party quietly observing a still. They reviewed what they've gathered from observing it, and these are their gathered insights. Firstly, as Frieren claimed, stills can fly faster than the speed of sound, so it is not possible to catch up with one at that speed. Furthermore, they are as robust as a dragon and undaunted by ordinary offensive magic, so they are capable of escaping captivity as well. In addition, they are incredibly sensitive to mana, so even if they attempt to restrain one with mana, it will quickly flee. But the greatest issue is that because stills possess almost no mana themselves, they are undetectable. Therefore, they have no idea where the stills are right now, nor how many of them there are in total. Kana added that the only times they found one were altogether the 3 times last morning. She believes they are being vigilant as the examinees are searching around for them. In the worst-case scenario, they may never show again. Laufen added, and to begin with, even if they did find one, they haven't the faintest idea how to capture it. Frieren then commented that it'll be fine then, and she said to them that last night, she tested out a magic that may help them capture a still. Kana remembered Frieren going somewhere last night and asked what sort of magic it is. Frieren explained that Kana already saw it. It is called bird capturing magic. She also explained that far back, during a time when mages were aplenty and magic was commonplace, a race that depended on hunting designed that, a magic unique to their race. Kana remembered what happened last night and argued that it was not a bird, but a monster, so Frieren added that it's a magic unique to their race. She thinks it could capture any bird-like creature in general, and since it is a powerful restraint magic, she believes it will work on the still. Laufen then asked, "So why did you keep quiet about that? Wouldn't we have been able to capture it yesterday with it?" To which Frieren answered, "Well, that wouldn't work." She said that the magic has a range of 50 centimeters. It's futile unless they can get that close. When Laufen asked how close they managed to get to one so far, Kana explained that they got close to 3 meters at best, and it seems that once they're about 20 meters away, the still will already notice their presence. "So we're just a step away then," Frieren commented, prompting Laufen to say that it's a pretty big step. Frieren then asked just to confirm, that is it right that it will be difficult for the magics of Kana and Laufen to stop the still, to which Laufen explained that it may be possible if she could freeze it cleanly. But that will be hard to do as it is robust and sensitive to mana, while Kana explained that she thinks her magic could stop it easily if there were a vast amount of water. She then further explained that what she controls is actually magic that manipulates water, so she cannot generate water itself. Therefore, she can't use it anywhere without a water source, and because it is hard to transfer her mana through large pools of water, she thinks it would be a problem if she didn't pour in her mana beforehand. But if it were scattered like rain, she'd be able to manipulate a ton of it quickly, though. Kana added that, however, for the still, which is sensitive to mana, pouring it into the water would definitely deter it. When Frieren heard the words deter it, she realized something. She said to the 2 girls that her newfound strategy might just work. They then talked about it, and Frieren explained it to them. Laufen commented that it's not a bad idea, but it's risky, as it will anger all of the other parties. But Kana argued that that is probably their only way to capture one. Laufen stayed quiet, prompting Kana to ask if she's afraid, which made Laufen pull her hair again. After that, Laufen invited Frieren and the others to start their plan. Somewhere in the same area, we go to Fern's party. It was revealed here that the boy with the glasses is Land, a second-class mage, and he proposed that they should hide, to which Yubel argued that it's boring and mages must fight with dignity. Land then argued too that mages also avoid unnecessary fights. Yubel tried to drink from her container, but it was empty. Because of that, they've decided to replenish their water and went to the lake at the center. While walking, Land expressed his gladness that they captured a still early on and explained that now, if they could just hide until sunset, they will pass the exam. Yubel reacted, prompting Land to ask what's the matter. Yubel explained that it seems it will not be going that smoothly. She thought that their path is a path, but it's actually a dried-up river, and she noticed similar terrain in many other spots there. That made Fern realize it as well. Fern then asked if the barrier is such a powerful antimatter barrier, then could it be possible that water is not flowing through it? Yubel explained that based on how dried up the path is, Genome must have already erected the barrier more than a week ago. Fern then said in that case, most of the water has gathered in the lake at the center of the basin. She then explained that they, the examinees, are living things as well, so they would need sufficient water to survive, to which Land commented, even so, the examinees wouldn't necessarily all gather around the lake, would they? Fern agreed and said that they can travel with their own water. However, the still, a living thing like them, cannot do the same. Land realized that means those who have realized that would be lying in wait around the lake, which is the biggest water source. After that, they decided to just give up on the water, to which Yubel argued that it's going to be hard for her because her throat's already dry. While talking about finding a small pond, Fern noticed something on their side. Suddenly, an attack was sent to them, but fortunately, Fern was alert enough to defend her party. It was revealed that another party was the ones who attacked them, and Yubel then quickly tried to charge. Yubel and the guy from the other party had a stalemate, and the guy commented that he shot those attacks with the intention of killing. "So you could react to that just now, huh?" said the guy to Fern. The guy instructed Yubel to put the still down and leave. "And if I say no?" "Then there's nothing more to say." Suddenly, a huge body of water came up, getting their attention. We then see Laufen in the middle of the lake, and it looks like she froze it. The other party got irritated by this, hinting that this was the reaction Frieren's party predicted. The guy felt the magic used and deduced that it must be the girl from the second party who did it. He was puzzled by the second party's movements and questioned whether they are trying to make enemies out of all the other parties. The other parties then decided to show themselves and quickly tried to melt the frozen lake. Denken and his party were watching this, and when the guy with him asked what does he propose they do now, he commented that this is a waste of time. Denken walked away from the lake, explaining that there is no point in melting it, as with such gaudy magic, no still would approach that lake anymore. He then instructed his party that they will take the second party still. For them to resort to such savagery would mean they have contrived a means to capture a still. We then see the party of Fern fighting the other party that attacked them. We also see Laufen and Kana continuing their plan. "Fern-sama, just what are you planning?" thought Fern while fighting. We go back to Denken and his party, and it was introduced to us that the girl with them is Laufen, a second-class mage, and the guy is Richter, also a second-class mage. Denken said that it seems those who have realized are now searching for other water sources, but they are being too lax with their mana detection, so they won't be able to deal with any aerial threats that way. They then heard another party saying that the second party is trying to make an absolute mess out of the exam, to which Denken said that is wrong and that it is an elaborate plan that the second party has conceived. He added that they will need to dismantle it if they are to proceed in any way. While walking, they saw some participants already dead, placed on a tree. Denken deduced that those are the works of a monster. When Laufen tried to tell them that they should take the bodies down, Denken explained that the monsters are patrolling the skies. They've cast magic on these corpses, so if they were to take the bodies down, they would be detected. Those monsters are the alluring corpse bird, Geisel, and that is how those things lure and hunt their next prey. Laufen commented that it's strange. Choosing a place with such monsters as an examination ground, she thought that the examiners do not care in the slightest if an examinee were to die. Richter then pointed out Laufen for being a novice in this exam and explained that anyone who would die from something like that in the exam is not qualified to be a first-class mage. He added that the Continental Magic Association cares about the quality of their first-class mages. There are some still dreaming of the strong, proud mages who fought against the Demon King army back in the day. Denken then added that it seems they are far behind the times as well. Quality is not necessary for mages. A first-class mage simply needs to be a symbol of authority. If they cannot win the hearts of the people, then they are no different from being powerless, regardless of their strength as a mage. Denken added that he has witnessed mages far more superior than him overthrown and persecuted by the hundreds. Great power is fearsome, and a fearsome authority does not last. Besides, magic is nothing to be proud about. Richter then said that it's perfect to be as weak as Denken then, to which Denken replied that he should not be talking and he could beat someone like him with his eyes closed. We then see the other parties doing their own ways to succeed in the exam. One party is finding Frieren's party, while they are still continuing their plan. Some are running from monsters, while Fern and her party are still battling with the madman guy. After walking, Denken's party decided to rest, and Laufen and Richter commented that they cannot detect the second party, so they must be concealing their mana and laying in hiding. Denken then added that the spot they're in seems to be the case as well, and it is the same for all of the water sources he's seen up to that point. He explained that, albeit faint, there is mana circulating through the water, to which Laufen and Richter asked if that is the second party's doing. Denken then said that he's sure only the caster is meant to be able to detect it. It is that minuscule. He added that, however, the still would be able to detect it, and thus, they would no longer approach that water source. Laufen then concluded that the point of this is there must be a water source somewhere that they didn't put their mana into, to which Denken added that the second party must be near it. "How would we find them?" asked Laufen, while Denken then said that he is going to rest for a moment. He then explained that this examination ground is massive. They will not be able to find some mages in perfect concealment, so they just need to wait because the second party will expose their whereabouts eventually. In the next scene, we see Frieren and her party talking to each other, where Kana explained that she poured her mana into ponds and springs at random, and there's a chance that there are other water sources out there that she failed to notice. Frieren then said that just limiting the water sources the still can use is enough. After that, she explained that she will sit there and wait to ambush a still, then began to hide her mana. Not long after, Frieren managed to conceal her mana completely, which made Laufen surprised. Frieren then explained that it's not completely gone, and if she moves, some of her mana will leak out. Kana and Laufen then decided to be the lookouts while Frieren focuses on concealing her mana. The two continued to argue while getting ready to hide. Time passed by and many monsters passed by to drink, but they didn't even notice Frieren. After some more waiting, at last, a feather of the still fell from the sky, and a still went down to Frieren's shoulder. Frieren then used her bird sealing magic to catch the still, and finally, they caught one and placed it in their cage. Laufen commented that it seems making enemies out of the other parties was worthwhile, while Kana commented that they've beaten the first exam now, to which Frieren said, "Not quite." Then, Denken, who was waiting, finally sensed the second party's magic and said that he found them. Denken explained that they resorted to magic after all. No matter how superior a mage they are, that moment is impossible to mask. Laufen then quickly made a move, to which Frieren also sensed that they have been detected. When she was just about to inform them that they need to hurry and get out of there, Laufen already arrived at their location. They locked eyes, and Frieren commented that it seems they're too late. We then go to see the fight of Fern's party with another party, and it was revealed that they are fighting the 8th party. Land was fighting Scharf, a 3rd-class mage, who cast his steel petal conversion magic, Jubilate. Fern, on the other hand, is fighting Ehre, a 2nd-class mage, and she uses her rock pellet conversion magic, Dorgat. Ehre commented that Fern is always backing away and that she's been trained not to provide any openings, like in the old-fashioned way of fighting. Ehre thought that Fern is trying to hide her trump card because of this typical offense and defense magic, to which Fern said that it's because she's been taught to strictly use basic magic in fights. She was told that it is enough for the mages of this era. While fighting, Ehre felt a bad feeling as if she's fighting against a seasoned mage. Ehre then commented that Fern must be having a hard time too because, with Fern's style of combat, if she were up against Wirbel, she'd be dead by now. "Well, that is most curious," Fern replied. Fern then asked if she's the strongest among them, to which Ehre just stayed quiet. We then go to Wirbel and Yubel continuing their fierce battle. Wirbel is a 2nd-class mage. While fighting, Wirbel thought that Yubel's magic is scary and that it is likely cleaving magic. It's simplistic magic, but he can't follow the trajectory at all. He added that it'll be impossible to block them all, but it looks like he has a plan. Wirbel continued to fall back while asking Yubel if she's not going to chase. Yubel then said that she thinks she might have been a bit too violent. Wirbel then explained that Yubel's magic has a range of about 5 meters, to which Yubel agreed and asked what will happen now. Is Wirbel going to continue fighting with that basic magic, prompting Wirbel to say that it is not needed? We then see Ehre explaining that Wirbel is the captain of the Northern Magic Corps that fought against the remnants of the Demon King army, so his field experience is on a whole different level. She added that the magic he uses is largely inelegant, cowardly, and is used just for the sake of winning. She then pointed out the child fighting Wirbel now is likely going to be killed, to which Fern replied, "Is that so?" Suddenly, Fern then attacked in different directions, startling Ehre. While defending, she was surprised that Fern can handle that many offensive spells cast at once. She then tried to talk to Fern, saying, "Isn't exerting yourself like that ridiculous? It doesn't have a hint of elegance." Not long after, Ehre was overpowered by the sheer number and power of Fern's sudden attack. We then go back to Yubel and Wirbel, where Wirbel cast his target binding magic, Salgani on Yubel. Yubel thought to herself that she couldn't control her mana, so that must be powerful binding magic. She then thought that Wirbel could catch a still on his own with that, but quickly added that it's useless if they can't find a still to begin with. Wirbel then explained that his magic seals the movements of anyone he catches sight of. As long as he doesn't take his eyes off Yubel, she won't be able to move. Yubel thought to herself that Wirbel took it easy on them because if he really wanted to kill them earlier, he would have sealed their movements during the surprise attack. Wirbel stated that it was her last chance to leave the still and go. Yubel was disappointed because she thought they could finally fight to the death. When Yubel was about to drop the still, she asked why Wirbel needed to order her to do such a thing. She realized that since she couldn't move, Wirbel could just take the still from her. Yubel then threw the cage, prompting Wirbel to look at it. In the blink of an eye, Yubel managed to close the gap and commented, "I guess that means Wirbel needs my entire body in his view, which means he can't use it against many people." Yubel attacked and managed to injure Wirbel's face, but fortunately, Wirbel reacted. "You bloody aimed for my eyes." "That only seems rational, no?" "Nah, if I were you, I would have tried to cut the head off. That would have settled the fight. I'm sure you could have managed that." Wirbel then explained that he has met people on the battlefield who tried to do something similar. They were all degenerates who enjoyed killing. Wirbel then raised his wand to Yubel's face and said he should just kill her and leave. Yubel then asked if he's ever killed a girl before, to which Wirbel asked, "You think I haven't?" Yubel then asked what sort of hell he went through, and Wirbel realized that Yubel was buying time, but he still went ahead and explained. He explained that their Northern Magic Corps consists of mercenaries who specialize in fighting demons, but in times of emergencies is also mobilized for international warfare. People are very aware of their weaknesses. Hunting down women and children in war are demonic acts that aren't in any way unusual. It is not hell. It is life in the very north. After that, Yubel said that she had heard enough and asked if Wirbel was going to kill her or not. She explained that she believes the magic a person specializes in is largely linked to their life and character, so the magic where Wirbel seals his target's movements practically seems like it was intended to delay their death. That startled Wirbel. Yubel then said that she gets it now. Him joining her and buying time fulfilled that purpose as well. What a surprise. Even though your hands have been stained with blood for so long already, you still wish to be human. Wirbel smiled and said that's right, and this is time for him to build the resolve to kill. He then explained that even if he falters and hesitates, he has never avoided an inevitable kill. When he was about to attack, Fern suddenly appeared at his side, pointing her staff. Wirbel was surprised that Ehre was defeated while thinking that he hadn't sensed Fern at all. After that, Wirbel proposed to make a deal. Wirbel then believed that Fern was the one who captured the still because she can completely mask her mana. Yubel explained that they just got lucky because they saw a still and Fern-nosed bird capturing magic from her master. She then commented that even though Wirbel can catch anything, the cards were not in his favor, to which Wirbel agreed. Wirbel then asked Fern what happened to Ehre, prompting Fern to answer, "She has ceased to be." That made Wirbel and Yubel look at Fern. Because the condition to pass the first exam is to secure a still with all party members present, Wirbel decided to take his leave because their party had lost. Yubel then asked, "Weren't you going to kill me?" To which Wirbel explained that his failure is absolute and it would be an unnecessary kill now. Yubel then got ready to attack, so Wirbel encouraged her to take a shot at his back. An unnecessary kill would only turn into a necessary one. Fern then called out to Yubel, prompting Yubel to not continue. Yubel commented that it seems they have themselves a con artist there, while Fern says that they must go and assist Land while they can. Yubel then pointed out that it seems there's no need as that Four Eyes is quite the devious fox. We then see Land getting owned by Scharf. Scharf commented that it seems they have reached a verdict, while Land commented that isn't that incredible. Scharf manipulated innumerable flower petals with precision to penetrate his defenses. However, he assumed that it was self-taught and explained that people who are self-taught often lack in the fundamentals. Land further explains that he makes sure to analyze an unknown target prior to fighting them. Your weaknesses are crystal clear, which likely means that I will be the victor. Scharf then replied that he's rather talkative and asked how does he plan to beat him now that he's ruined his dominant arm. Land then pointed out again that that is just his analysis prior to the battle, and what Scharf lacks is that he is bad at sensing mana. Suddenly, another Land appeared behind Scharf and held him by the nape. Land explained that his magic is more like a clone than an illusion because it does have a body. Not long after, Land landed a quick blow on Scharf's nape, knocking him down. Land explained that since the beginning, he had already made a clone since he can't trust anyone. In the next scene, Wirbel then saw Ehre unconscious on the ground. Here, Wirbel realized that he was played by Fern. He then woke up Ehre and commented, "You're out of mana already? You're the top student of your magic academy." Ehre explained that she was overwhelmed by the sheer force of the ordinary offense magic, and she was not ready for that at all. When Ehre thought that Wirbel thought she was joking, Wirbel said that he doesn't, and explained that she just fought her directly like a fool and he's sure it was a match she could have won. But inside Wirbel's head, he explained that still, if Fern can achieve a feat like that with just ordinary offense magic, that girl must be quite the monster. After that, he said to Ehre that they will regroup with Scharf. When Ehre said that she can't walk, Wirbel used levitation magic on her, prompting Ehre to get angry and command Wirbel to carry her. So, Wirbel gave Ehre a piggyback ride and started to look for Scharf. Not long after, they saw Scharf laying down in a flower bed, crying for him to carry him. Because of that, Wirbel had no choice but to levitate Scharf while giving Ehre a piggyback ride. Ehre then heard a sound, prompting her to ask what it was, to which Wirbel explained that it sounds like rain and he can hear rain starting to fall outside of the barrier. Wirbel explained that there are just another 2 to 3 hours before sunset, and they have 2 incapacitated members, so their failure is absolute. Ehre then commented that despite that, Wirbel still saved them and thanked him. Ehre asked if that kindness is the reason why he fights against the demons and pointed out that Wirbel saved her village as well, after all. Wirbel then explained that people fight for the sake of ambition, and for him, he has a secret motive. There is a girl he likes from his hometown. He narrated that exactly 29 years ago, demon activity in the northern countries intensified, and the girl he liked fled to the central countries with her family. He was a dumb kid and he acted cool, saying to the girl, "I will kill each and every one of those abominable demons. So once that happens, come back to this village." Wirbel added that he was around 4 to 5 years old at that time and he can't recall her face or even name anymore. When the party was already talking about how they were going to get home, Wirbel suddenly noticed something and it was revealed that it's a still. Wirbel quickly used his binding magic to bind the bird. Because of that, Wirbel commented on what the point of all the effort they put in was. After that, we go back to Laufen ambushing Frieren's party. While that is happening, Denken is watching them safely from a tree and saw that Frieren is an elf, commenting that she seems to be an exceptional mage. Denken explained that once Laufen reveals her magic, it will not work a second time. However, that one time will be enough since it isn't a battle to the death. Suddenly, Laufen disappeared in a blink of an eye, puzzling Kanna. Surprised, it looks like Laufen manages to steal the still from Frieren's hand. Frieren then smiled and commented that magic is intriguing. While Laufen was hiding, Frieren sensed her in the bushes, but she quickly got away again. Somewhere inside the barrier, Jano is just drinking tea. The girl he was with commented that being inside the barrier is rather pleasant despite the rain. Jano then called the girl Sense and asked if he's correct that she's the proctor of the second exam. Sense then commented that it appears he have once again caused the death of several promising examinees. Jano said that Sense makes him laugh, someone promising would not die from something like this. He added that this is what makes first-class mages so valuable and that he's sure she'll understand that as well. We see here how good these people are at concealing their mana because a still is not running away from them. Sense then said that even so, Jano is quite malicious. Choosing prey that is immune to mana detection for the exam, whether or not you can capture one boils down to luck. This is a conflict disguised as a competition. Jano then argued that luck factors into one's true strength as well. He then added that besides, it seems that there is one who managed to capture a still without relying on luck. After that, Jano commented that the conflicts will be intense. The girl then asked Jano who he thinks will win in that conflict, to which Jano answered that he's sure a third of them will remain, and Denken will definitely be among them because his strength is in no way inferior to a first-class mage's. The girl then asked why an old man who only desires money and power is taking an exam like this, and is it because he is striving for the privilege? Jano then answered that who knows, that Grandpa's already at that age as well, so he must have his reasons. We then go to Frieren talking to Denken. She asked if the magic Laufen used earlier was the high-speed movement magic Silwer, a magic passed down amongst a mountainous tribe in the southern countries, to which Denken agreed. Frieren then said if that's true, then Denken and his partner could have just stayed hidden and the girl could have simply escaped with the still alone. Denken explained that Laufen is still a novice and has left too many traces of her mana, so Frieren would be able to track her down easily, and revealed that he knows Frieren's name. When Denken said that Frieren must think that they are a troublesome obstacle, Frieren agreed. "So you know about me then," says Frieren, prompting Denken to explain that there isn't any mage in his generation who hasn't heard of that name. He further explained that it's his first time seeing her in person, but he's sure that she is the mage of the hero party, Frieren. Kana asked Laufen if she's famous, to which Laufen explained that Frieren is a legendary mage. Frieren then said to Denken that in the end, he came to challenge her with dignity. She thought they would make a move on them using more cowardly means because they have been tracking them down. Richter then stepped up and said that what they're going to do is more than cowardly enough. "While Denken keeps you occupied, I will kill one of those two girls." Frieren understood that they will have no choice but to resign if one of them dies. Denken then commanded Richter to stop as they only need to obstruct Frieren's party, and that is a winnable contest. Richter commented that he imagined Denken would have been more ruthless and cold of a person. He added that he is an imperial mage, so he's sure that Denken rid himself of political opponents more than once or twice. Denken argued that he simply does not see the value in being a first-class mage or causing needless death. Frieren then commented that she shares the same sentiment. A first-class mage is but only a title, and she cannot imagine it bearing much value. Richter then commented that he is astonished and asked Denken why he undertook this exam regardless of that potential privilege. Frieren then asks, "Privilege?" prompting Richter to explain that more than half a century ago, suddenly taking the center stage of history, was the founder of the Continental Magic Association that reigned supreme over all mages of mankind, the Great Mage, Ciri. He added that she is still seeking out the seasoned mage from the long war with the Demon King army. Therefore, she has promised to offer a special privilege to anyone who attains the rank of first-class mage. She would bestow upon them any magic they desired. Ciri is a living grimoire who bears practically every magic in the history of mankind. The mage on this earth closest to the omniscient and omnipotent goddess. Gaining innumerable riches, healing the most fatal of illnesses, and even obtaining unfathomable power is possible. People are simplistic. However, Because of that, first-class mages have become so monstrous that they make one wonder whether they are even living beings anymore. Having any magic they desire granted is akin to having a wish come true for mages, and that is how valuable it is to become one. After all that, Frieren's reaction was just, aha, while Denken commented, absolutely ridiculous. Richter then told Denken that those like him who care not for the privilege are a minority. After that, he reminded Denken to keep Frieren occupied for a minute because that's enough for him to kill the two girls. Denken then said, Richter, don't make me repeat myself. Those two are just girls. Richter should just put them to sleep for 3 hours, and I will crush Frieren. That's all that's necessary. After commenting that Denken is a senile old fool, Richter uses his earth manipulation magic, Ballgrant, and the earth below them started rising. Richter made an arena for him and the two girls, while Frieren and Denken are below. Denken commented that juveniles can't help but be filled with excessive ardor and that the privilege would be wasted on them. Frieren then asked why Denken would think that, so Denken explained that Frieren already knows the answer. The greatest enjoyment comes only during the pursuit of magic, to which Frieren concurred. We then go back to the time where Flam and Frieren visit Ciri. Ciri commented that time passes in the blink of an eye. The pupil she raised on a whim has now brought her own pupil. Flam then introduced Frieren to Ciri, to which Ciri noticed that she's also an elf. She said that Frieren must be strong, so she's pleased. She then instructed Frieren to name any magic she desires, and she shall grant it. Ciri explained that she possesses the knowledge of practically every grimoire written in existence. Magic I desire? Asked Frieren. Ciri then explained that mages spend their lives in pursuit of the magic they desire and asked Frieren again to tell her what it is she desires. Frieren then said that it is not necessary. She explained that the greatest enjoyment comes only during the pursuit of magic. Flam then smiled at her pupil's words. Ciri then said to Flam that Frieren is hopeless after all. She lacks ambition, the burning ambition. Flam then said to her master that Frieren will one day defeat the Demon King, as she is sure a mage like her will clear the way for a peaceful era. Even if it's not possible for me, asked Ciri, to which Flam replied, a warmonger like you cannot defeat the Demon King. She added that they will not be able to achieve that, and also pointed out that Ciri cannot even visualize herself living in a peaceful era. Flam then said that Frieren is a mage of a peaceful era. After that, we go back to Frieren and Denken, and here, Frieren agreed with Denken that this is the definition of a mage because they shared the same perspective on where the greatest enjoyment comes from. We then go to Can and Laufen battling with Richter. Laufen was shocked because Richter is completely immune to freezing, and their difference in mana is too great. Laufen still tried to attack using her ice arrow magic, Neftir, but Richter easily defended against it using earth barriers, commenting that the attack is too frail. He then counterattacked and, while doing so, explained that this is all because of the chaos that they, the second party, caused. He then pointed out that he's really babysitting these two because of how weak they are. An innocuous ice magic, and a mage who cannot fight without the presence of water, Laufen then replied, "You're one to talk. Isn't Richter the one here who has more mana?" Richter then pointed out that the two originated from an academy of magic and asked, "Are those fogies in the academy still educating their students to fight in battles of attrition using primary defense magic?" Ken asked what he means, so Richter explained that the defense magic developed to counter soul track, or killing magic, possesses great resistance against magic, but its defensive capabilities against the physical have largely remained constant. He added that naturally, there is a clear reason for this. It is because it was already sufficiently capable of defending against a monster or a warrior's physical attacks. Therefore, there should not be a need to focus too heavily on defense magic. In order to perfect it, however, they will need to complexify it with techniques that would gravely affect its casting speed. He further added that the history of magic equates to the history of offense versus defense. Therefore, modern offense magic now commonly manipulates the physical. He then asked if they understood what he was trying to say, and quickly attacked using his magic. Can's defenses didn't work, so Richter's attack landed on them. and then he explained that what he's trying to say is his magic physically overwhelms via mass. When Can tried to stand, Richter said that they should stay down. He apologized and explained that he does not find enjoyment in torture. Laufen then explained, "Do you think you can just approach us easily? Human bodies are comprised of about 60% water." Richter then smirked and said, "So what?" He explained, "Magic is the world of visualization. Can you picture how water is distributed in a human body? Can you visualize yourselves drawing it out to manipulate? How would you use it against a mage protected by vast amounts of mana?" He pointed out that that which cannot be visualized cannot be realized in magic. He added, "Besides, even if that place did have water, a little girl like him wouldn't pose any particular threat." Laufen was surprised that Richter saw through their bluff, calling him an abhorrent man. Laufen then explained that, however, there is one thing she realized: he's all talk. She explained that if Richter enjoys fighting so much that he would even lecture about it, he should fight them somewhere with water. Richter then commented that she should settle down, and his duty is to put them to rest, so long as Denken isn't losing. We then go to Frieren and Denken's battle. Denken realized that if his situation keeps up, his mana will be drained to 0. He then counterattacked and used powerful magic, such as Tornado Conjuration Magic, Waldgos, and Wind of Hellfire Magic, Dosdorg, to try to end the battle quickly. Richter commented that Denken's way of fighting is violent. Since asked Jano if the barrier would be fine after Denken's attack, Jano explained that the barrier was erected by the Great Mage Siri, so it's not something they can destroy using raw power. Since then informed him that since last night, someone has been deciphering the barrier. Jano asked for what reason, to which Since answered, "Who knows?" Jano then said that, in any case, it's a pointless act, and asked Since if she thinks any mage in that world could surpass Siri. After the powerful barrage of magic, it was shown that Frieren managed to defend it all. To follow up his chain of attacks, Denken then used light judgment magic, Catastravia, which made rays of light rain down on Frieren. Frieren then suddenly counterattacked and charged, making Denken shocked and puzzled. He thought that there was no way an opening could be opened there. Right after Frieren's charge, she attacked Denken, causing a huge explosion. After the attack, Denken was out of mana, hinting at his loss to Frieren. In his mind, he explained that he couldn't believe it. Frieren strictly used basic combat magic throughout, and he realized that to her, their battle practically felt like a sparring match with an apprentice mage. Denken expressed himself, saying he was shocked to think that there is still someone greater despite his reaching those heights. Frieren threatened Denken and told him to reveal where Laufen was, certain that she knew Laufen's whereabouts. She said that Laufen would return the still to them. Denken then asked her if she were in his shoes, would she tell, to which Frieren said that it was a good point. Frieren then kicked Denken down and called for Laufen, threatening that if she didn't bring the still to her, she would kill Denken. Denken then tried to talk to Laufen, saying that she shouldn't bother and she knows that Frieren doesn't intend to kill. While assessing what she was going to do, Laufen realized that Frieren was far more superior as a mage than all of them. When she thought she could use Silware because Frieren was lowering her guard, Denken explained that she should stay hidden. If she exhibited even the faintest mana, she would be detected. Laufen thought that at this range, she should be able to fetch Denken and flee with him. While Denken was still trying to stop Laufen, Frieren then said that she had no choice. She pointed her staff at Denken and started charging her magic. Laufen didn't endure Frieren's bluff, so she decided to use her magic, which led to her getting caught by Frieren. After that, Frieren tied them to a tree. Denken scolded Laufen, calling her an immature child, and said it was obviously a bluff. Laufen argued that Frieren would have tortured him endlessly as long as it didn't kill him. Denken then also argued that even so, they would have won. Laufen then asked why Denken wanted to become a first-class mage so badly when he already possessed everything from riches to influence and whatever else he wanted. Denken explained that his hometown is located on a plateau in the north. Because of demonic attacks, it is now a place only first-class mages can access. He just wanted to visit the cemetery there for once after all this time. While Frieren was listening to him, he then pointed out that she should go and save the girls. He then explained that it was most likely already too late, as Richter would kill those girls first before confronting her. He's the kind of man who would make that sort of rational judgment. Frieren then said that there was no need to worry, since Can and Laufen would win. She then pointed out that she had just finished deciphering the barrier too. We then go back to Richter and the two girls. Because Denken lost, Richter decided to finish off the girls. Shortly after, Frieren used some kind of magic that shot out of the air, which Janot and since witnessed. When Janot explained that they shouldn't worry and that it was impossible to break the barrier, even if heaven and earth were turned around, the barrier broke easily. This prompted Since to ask who the elven mage was. She then explained that according to the list of examinees, the elf's name was Frieren. Janot realized that this was the same name as the mage in the hero party, and Since added that she possessed a holy wand emblem. Janot then commented, "So she's the final great mage then." In Ciri's room, Ciri commented that Frieren had finally shown up and that what she did was quite the greeting for the first time in 1,000 years. She added that this is why mages are unstoppable. In the world of magic, even heaven and earth can be turned inside out. After breaking the barrier, rain began to fall on the examinees. When Denken and Laufen asked how things ended up like this, Frieren explained that it was because she felt sorry for Can and that magic should not be fettered. Frieren added that magic is the world of visualization and asked if he could visualize himself defeating a mage who can manipulate water in the rain. She also answered that she cannot, at the very least, and chances are that Richter guy cannot either. The rain puzzled Richter and the two girls. When Richter tried to end it as soon as possible, Laufen managed to freeze his hand, commenting that he finally showed an opening because he was flustered and his mana was unstable. Just as he was about to say that stalling like that was no big deal, he suddenly noticed a huge body of water above him. Laufen then said that now it was evident why Richter was afraid of water magic. It's because that thing is the very definition of an attack that physically overwhelms via mass. Can used her water manipulation magic, Reamstraw, and instructed Laufen to keep Richter still. Richter then commented that it's because there is no real escape to begin with. That is why he despises water. He then tried to use defense magic, but it was no match for the sheer mass of Can's water magic. The water flattened him to the ground, causing him to lose. In the next scene, Frieren approached the two girls and said that they should hurry and leave. She explained that there were still 2 hours before sunset and instructed them to hide their mana until then. Ken responded that there was no need because they had already run out of mana. Frieren then praised them for winning their battle with Richter. We then see Richter washed up where Denken and Laufen were. He apologized to both of them and explained that both he and Denken were out of mana. With only 2 hours left, he concluded that it was all over for them. Denken asked Laufen if she could sever their restraints. Laufen argued that there was some insanely powerful mana at work in those restraints. Denken suggested, "Them the tree. Chop it down." She complied. Richter said to Denken that it's futile already, and Laufen added that she doesn't have any mana anymore to use silver. Denken then asked them what they thought an Imperial Mage would do in such a situation. He answered his own question, stating they would struggle until the bitter end, however disgraceful it may seem. He explained that they would search for traces of battles from other parties and follow them. In the next scene, we go to Fern's party taking shelter in a cave. Yubel commented that Fern was really boring, as she only used basic magic. Fern suggested that Yubel should tell that to Frieren. Yubel recalled that Frieren was Fern's master and pointed out that she should scold her because of the rain. Fern replied that that was the intention. Fern explained that she was not restricted if they went beyond the scope of combat magic. Yubel recalled her using bird-capturing magic before and asked what other kinds of magic Fern could use. Fern answered that she could also use magic that could turn your clothes invisible, prompting Yubel to cover herself. Fern reassured her that she wouldn't use it on her. Land then interrupted, suggesting that they shouldn't reveal their skills too much, as they would be enemies in the second exam. Yubel agreed it was a good point, but argued that it wouldn't hurt for him to be a bit more open-hearted. In the next scene, Denken and his party finally found a party that had retreated, and a member of that party was already dead. He pointed out that they were still protecting their still even though they wouldn't pass anymore. When Richter asked if Denken was planning to negotiate with them, Denken explained that they wouldn't accept, and if he were in their shoes, he would refuse, even if offered money. Laufen then asked why, to which he explained that it would rub him the wrong way. Such decisions are not always logical. Denken then emerged from hiding and instructed Laufen to wait for an opportunity to take the still, and for Richter to accompany him. When Richter argued that they didn't have any mana left to confront them head-on, Denken acknowledged this, noting it was the same for their enemies. Denken then removed his cloak, telling Richter to prepare himself because he's a man. Not long after, Denken engaged in a fistfight with their enemies, fighting like a real man. Time passed, and we see the surviving parties doing their own things while waiting for the exam to end. Eventually, they all gathered where Jano was, and he announced that the time had come. The first exam was now over, with 6 parties in total, comprising 18 people, having passed. In a town bar, we see Stark talking to the bartender, mentioning that it had been 2 days since Frieren and Fern went off to the exam. He shared that he didn't get scolded by Fern anymore for staying up late, which made him so happy it was scary. This prompted the bartender to reply that Stark must have gone through a lot of hardship. We then see the parties that passed the first exam. The first party consists of Method, Tone, and Lang. The second party consists of Frieren, Lawine, and Can. The fourth party consists of Fern, Land, and Yubel. The 8th party consists of Wirbel, Scharf, and Ehre. The 13th party consists of Denken, Richter, and Laufen. And the 17th party consists of Edel, Blay, and Dunst. Jano then informs them that the second exam will be held 3 days later and that more details will follow shortly, before dismissing them all. In the next scene, we see Stark sleeping. He woke up and noticed it was evening, so he thought it wouldn't hurt to relax. Then he heard a knock on the door, which puzzled him. When he opened it, it was revealed that Fern was the one who knocked, and she was with Frieren. Stark then asked if they didn't go to the first-class mage exam. Fern answered that they returned last night after the conclusion of the first exam. She then pointed out that it was nighttime, right? And further asked if he was asleep. When Fern asked if he stayed up late, Stark answered yes, and tearfully explained that he had some juice in the middle of the night as well. Because of that, Fern started hitting him, indicating that she got angry. Fern then pointed out that Frieren had also just woken up, prompting Frieren to comment that the flames have been fanned. While walking in town, Fern is seen pouting because of earlier, so Frieren suggested that they cheer her up. Stark then asked what she's planning to do for Fern, and Frieren explained that it's a little pricey, but they will buy her food that she ate a long time ago with Himmel and the others at a restaurant. Stark then wondered if it still exists after 80 years. In the next scene, we see Richter fiddling with a lamp. It looks like he fixed it for an old lady. After that, the old lady thanked him and gave him a candy, prompting him to say that he's not a kid anymore and he's a full-fledged adult. The granny then explained that in the eyes of a senior like her, he is still only a boy, and added that Richter enjoys that particular candy, right? We then see Denken and Laufen approaching him, prompting him to say that his shop's already closed because he needs to rest after being forced into a fistfight by a crazy old man. Denken then commented that it truly was a disaster. He then suggested that they go grab something to eat together, mentioning a restaurant he was looking for, as Laufen, and he did not know their way around those parts. Richter suddenly asked why Laufen was with Denken and what she was holding. Laufen answered that Denken had bought it for her, addressing Denken as Gramps, prompting Richter to comment that she was practically acting as if she were his granddaughter. After that, Richter told them to leave as they are not a party anymore. Denken commented that it seemed Richter lacked wisdom about how the world works. If he wanted to survive as a mage, it would be in his best interest to get on his good side. Richter then said that there were countless restaurants there, and they should just pick one. Denken explained that what he was looking for was a restaurant he went to with his late wife, and the taste there was unforgettable. After that, Richter agreed and said that it would be Denken's treat, to which Denken agreed. We then see Land walking, and Yubel called out to him. Yubel sarcastically said she was pleased to make his acquaintance, pointing out that naturally, Land wasn't using any clones in town. Land then said that if she wanted to talk, he assumed it wouldn't bother her if they did so while walking, to which Yubel agreed and explained that if he attempted to run away, she might just kill him. Land wondered if Yubel didn't think anything of murder, and if so, why hadn't she killed Wirbel when she had the chance? Yubel remembered her talk with Wirbel and explained that it was hard to explain, but it was probably because she empathized with him and she wanted to hold off on killing too. Land's body then suddenly froze, and it was revealed that Yubel used the same magic Wirbel used on her. Yubel further explained that the magic a person specialized in largely depended on their life and nature. She added that it had always been like that for her. She could make magic happen through empathy, but she couldn't do so if that didn't happen. She then commented on how flawless Land's clones were, possessing the same powers as his main body, and asked what went through his mind and what his life's journey had been like. Land then realized that Yubel was the type who activated magic via sensation, the type who simply activated it without even knowing the principles behind its activation. He added that he hated those kinds of simple-minded children. Yubel then said that wasn't an answer, to which Land explained that he was saying he wasn't telling her anything since she rubbed him the wrong way. He then invited Yubel to kill him, adding that if she did, he doubted she'd be able to empathize again. Yubel then deactivated her magic and said that it was fine. She felt like she'd come to understand people like Land a little, and now she thought she'd like to get to know him better. She then asked where he was planning to go from there, to which Land answered, "Who knows?" and instructed her not to follow him. We then go back to Denken, Richter, and Laufen, and they arrived at what Denken was talking about earlier. Richter then commented that Denken had a good eye, noting that the restaurant offered the most delicious food in town and that he often came there himself. Denken informed them that it had been half a century since he last visited with his wife, but the restaurant still emitted the same exact atmosphere, prompting him to marvel at how mysterious it was. Upon entering the restaurant, they saw Frieren along with Fern and Stark ordering food. Denken suggested that they should leave them alone as they looked merry, emphasizing that food should be enjoyed, which was why they were there as well. Not long after, Frieren's orders arrived. Stark commented on the large amount, while Fern remarked that Frieren really did have such moments sometimes, didn't she? The narrative then shifts back to the time when the hero party visited the same restaurant. The chef at that time thanked them for retrieving their treasured kitchen knife from the demons. He added that the prodigious chef of that century, Lecker, would honor them with hospitality and a reward befitting a king. Hyder echoed Stark's earlier comment about Frieren ordering a lot, to which Frieren explained that it was because the cuisine was delicious and she must thoroughly relish it. Himmel suggested that she could eat less at one time and return again, but Frieren replied that there had been many occasions where she thought she could, but ended up never being able to experience the same taste again. This puzzled Himmel and Lecker. Lecker assured Frieren that the restaurant's taste would remain for the future, whether it be a century or two from now. Frieren then remarked that it was curious because all chefs said the same thing. They promised consistency but then changed the taste of their cuisine to leave their own mark, which made Lecker smile. Himmel suggested that Frieren could seek out a better taste when that time came, but Lecker boasted that no taste in the world could ever surpass his. Himmel replied that in that case, Lecker should ensure his culinary excellence reached the future, which was his desired reward. Lecker vowed to accomplish that great feat, something no chef had ever achieved to that day. Returning to the present, Stark commented that his food tasted like heaven on earth, and Fern wondered if it was right to enjoy it so much. Frieren initially felt disappointed that the taste had changed despite Lecker's seal, but she was glad that the current taste was far better than it had been in the past. The scene then shows Denken, Laufen, Richter, Land, and Yubel at the same restaurant. After eating, a now happy Fern stated that their food had been delicious, to which Frieren commented that she was glad Fern was happy again. Stark then asked Frieren if their finances would be okay after such an extravagant meal, and Frieren admitted that her secret savings were now all gone. And that concludes the story.